Hi class, this is chapter 17, and it will be a little bit shorter than most of your chapters. I know we've had two-part chapters a number of times, and we've had long ones. This will be pretty quick. You have a lot of other things going on, so I'm just going to cover the basics. So you need to be thinking, even if this is a 300 level or junior level class, you need to be thinking forward into what you're going to do on the other side, your career, and we need to be thinking proactively. What are we going to do when we get there? And as managers on the other side, how can we need to understand experiences of our employees? So you need it on two levels. You need it as both a student and you need it as a would-be manager. Okay. So career management is good business. It just makes financial sense. Your career is your pattern of work-related experiences that span the course of your life. So you're looking forward to a career. Many of you are looking forward to going to graduate school or being an entrepreneur. So you'll have to kind of change some of these and take some of it with a grain of salt. But generally, this is applicable in some way to most of us. So it's a lifelong process of learning about self, jobs, and organizations, setting personal career goals, and developing strategies for achieving these goals. Now that's a good summary because you're going to spend, if you're 22-ish, 22, something in that neighborhood right now, you're going to be spending the next 40 years of your life, the majority of your life at work. So now the old career paradigm, if you talk to somebody who's retired, and I don't know how this will apply in a former Soviet bloc country necessarily, I would imagine they had one particular job, but in a Western sense, I know a lot of really old people, 70, 80, something like that worked at one company all their life. And that's, there was this mutual loyalty that was implicit. This is true in Japan as well, not just in the Western context. And one employer focus. I mean, I worked with this firm for all my years, was very common. Top-down firm, corporate allegiance. Those things were very important. In fact, the metaphor would be you're retired and you got the gold pocket watch. It's generally not made out of gold, but it's a symbol. It's a metaphor. Hey, you've put in your time. You've done it. Now, the new career model is this discrete exchange, and that's an organization gains productivity while a person gains work experience. Now, when students ask me what should they do going into this first job, Dr. Gertis, I have either this opportunity or that opportunity or this other opportunity. What should I do? I tell them always go where you can grow and expand and increase your production capabilities, where you personally will have the most opportunity to grow. Even if it's not a place where you get paid the most or you have the most challenges or where you think you'll be on the fast track, go where you can grow. Then occupational excellence skills are continually honed that can be marketed across organizations so that you can go other places. Now, this discrete exchange is very important in the first phase. Organizational empowerment, power flows down the business units and in turn to the employees, and then project allegiance. You're looking at project completion, not necessarily your allegiance to the organization for 40 years. Now, we did a couple of, we did the Myers-Briggs and we did the DISC test, kind of, not DISC, the Big Five personality test. And this also talks about personality. There are different types of personalities, and the more you get to know yourself, the better. There are realists, and they'll be much more likely to gravitate to something mechanical, engineering, those kind of thing. Investigative people kind of like things like a surgeon or an economist or a news reporter, something where they can really kind of find out what's going on. An artistic person is much more like an architect than a mechanical engineer. They're maybe an interior designer. An enterprising person, this is probably where most of you are. Things like a manager, a lawyer, human resource management, something, real estate agent. A social person is a great person that would, work really well with people and helping them in times of needs, like a member of the clergy or social worker or something along those lines. Conventional persons, there are going to be a lot of you that are in this kind of category as well. They like doing the things that make the organization work. And then each of these types of personalities, however you shake out, look at what's there because it's probably how you're geared, and you're going to be happiest where you're geared. God made you a particular way. Realistic job preview is both positive and negative information given to the potential employee. So as a manager, you want it to be realistic because you don't want to hire someone and have them leave. As an employee coming into the organization, you want it to be realistic because you want to be able to know what you're really getting into because you're going to be spending the majority of your life there. I mean, as opposed to other places. The career stage model, essentially, it just moves straight forward or straight up. You start in establishment, and we'll talk about that, and then move to advancement, maintenance, and then finally withdrawal. It's just a natural cycle of life. So in establishment, you're trying to get the psychological contract, know what you have to do, what the organization is going to do for you, what you're going to do for it. And then in that process, you're going to make the transition from organizational outsider to organizational insider, where you understand the culture, you can function, you can work with people within the organization effectively. At this advancement level, two things are going to become very important: your career path, and that's how you're going to go where you're going, and the career ladder, which is a structured series of job positions through which an individual progresses in the organization. So again, it's just how do you move up? How do you advance? Where are you going with this? Along the way, finding a mentor is really important. If you can find somebody that will invest in you, spend that time with you, they use a term sponsor. That's what I use by invest. Coach you. They'll look out for you. If you can find somebody that's going to be doing that, that's great. The phases of mentoring go from initiation to cultivation. Initiation, the relationship just begins. Cultivation, you actually are starting to develop some kind of relationship. Over time, that mentoring relationship can be proven valuable, and I'll talk about that in a couple slides. Just about how, mentors people that are mentored get advanced further, and they move and they avoid certain traps much more easily. Separation, eventually that mentorship relationship comes to an end, and there's a redefinition. There's a new relationship. You're more peers than you were mentor-mentee, and that's okay. That's normal. Mentored individuals, here's what I was talking about, earn higher salaries. And this has been statistically proven. There's lots of research that shows this, because the mentor is pouring into that mentoree and helping them steer and navigate where they should be, and not make mistakes and do things well. And mentored individuals have higher promotion rates. The individuals are better decision makers. So it's always a wise thing if you can find a mentor who will invest in you to be mentored. Now, dual career partnerships is something that you got to be looking at this stage. It's very common in the West. I would imagine it's as common there as it is in the U.S. Now, it's going to, if you and your spouse, once you're married, are both working, it's going to create extra time pressure. Who's going to be watching the kids? Are you jealous of each other's careers? Whose career is going to take priority? Along with those other home work conflicts, or things like elder care. When you get to, I'm in my early 40s. When you get into your 40s, start and go 40s into 50s, you're going to really start thinking about, well, how are we going to take care of our parents? Maintenance, this is the next phase, and this is a time of crisis or commitment. So either you have a midlife crisis where your career has really stalled, maybe you're feeling burned out, or you really feel like you've achieved something in that process. So sometimes you hit a career plateau, and that's where an individual in the career is probably moving no further up the ladder. They're not going any further. The probability of going up has really limited. And then firms respond by allowing them to do other things. This is not something that you need to worry about immediately. This is 20 years from now. Okay, lateral moves, project teams, affirmations. Maybe they're in charge of certain projects, those kind of things. Maintenance. So there's formal mentoring programs where in the maintenance phase and into the final phase where you start really thinking about you being a mentor and giving back. So there's voluntary participation, support from top executives, and sometimes there's graceful exit opportunities. And that exit, as that one door is opening, maybe that's opening to a different chapter in life. This leads to withdrawal. Withdrawal is, usually they stereotype that withdrawal, you're just less productive, you're slow moving, you're not motivated, and that's usually not true. The reality is that the older folks in organizations have a lot of experience that you can tap into. And so, by the way, as I'm talking to you in this early phase, or as you're about to enter the early phase, think in those terms. There are a lot of mature employees that want to give back, that are looking for somebody sharp to pour into, and that might be you. Okay, they demonstrate strong work ethics, and they also are very loyal compared to their younger peers. Now, why would people withdraw or leave? Well, sometimes their health gives out. Sometimes company policy, particularly for physically demanding jobs, require it. Sometimes family issues. You just want to spend more time with your grandkids. Maybe you have enough income and you are set to go, or another opportunity comes along. There's all kinds of reasons. It's very personal and very specific to the individual. Now, here's the few questions that you want to ask yourself as you're about to manage your own career, as you're in this early stage looking forward. Am I adding value? Or let me rephrase that. Where can you go where you can add value? That's what you want to ask yourself. Are you plugged in to that which is happening around you? Okay. Are you trying new ideas and technologies? And I mean, what value can you bring to that table that nobody else is really giving? If you can add value, you can do something really significant in wherever you go. Think about those kind of things as you think forward toward where you want to be and as you work on your paper. Okay, I promise this one would be short. It's not 2 parts, and we're done. Thank you for your time, and I'll talk to you later.